Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, the world is kind of falling apart right now. I mean, I know that sounds like terrifying and doomsday and spreading around that fear, old Travis, but it really is, especially the United States. If you've watched the stuff that's been going on here lately, the rapid increase in violence, police departments, major city police departments are shutting down at least part of their patrol, a part of their serving the public. They're just saying, hey, it's the purge, you're on your own now between this hour and this hour. Call someone else that cares because we're not coming. Other cities, they're just shutting down patrolling in whole swaths of the city because they just don't have the manpower. Countries near us are falling apart, and their criminals are being let out of prison, and there's probably a pretty good chance that some of them are going to end up here because our borders are wide open and we allow hundreds of thousands a month to come into this country illegally without really question. And it's starting to add up. There's countless stories in the news of people being attacked brutally, sexually assaulted, up into and including death. The things that are happening, it's absolutely horrendous. And you know, most of us that have been watching this for a while, we knew this day was coming, right? We knew this was coming. So without going into greater detail of all that stuff, because most of you have been paying attention, my message today is folks, it's time. It's time to get local. It's time to pull your community in. It's time to rein in just yourself and your family and those around you. It's time to get serious. It's time to get serious about your preparedness. It's time to get serious about what you have, what you've stocked up on. It's time to get serious about your self-sufficiency. It's time to get serious about food production. Food production, I've said this all along, is going to be one of the most important things you can do because you can only stockpile so much food. You need to be able to produce food, and it's not just so much that the food may not be available. May be too expensive, could be a supply chain collapse. It could be too dangerous to go out to the store and buy it. Those are all very valid possibilities. But there's been a new thing that started to happen over the last few years that we've started to see coming, and it's kind of here already. And that is that the food is not even edible. It's not healthy. It's some bioengineered Franken food that is an abomination. And many of us refuse to eat that. And so regardless of how you look at it, you need to be producing food. You need to be building your team, your tribe, your mag, the people around you that you know and trust, becoming more and more local, working and focusing on your community around you, the people of like mind, the people that understand what's going on and that will stand with you regardless of what happens. That's the kind of thing that you need to be focusing on. We are about to watch, very possibly, this is not a prediction, but I can see it starting to happen, and it's happened before in history, so why wouldn't it happen once again? But we're about to start to see just a complete breakdown on the streets of America. We're already seeing that for certain. There's places in New York and California and Chicago and St. Louis and Austin and all across in the East and the West Coast. We're seeing a breakdown, but it's going to start spreading. It's very possible that we could start seeing things that have been seen before in places like Venezuela, what's been going on in South Africa for a long time, Sri Lanka just a few years ago, Rhodesia several decades ago. Those types of things that we're seeing on the streets where there was just mass chaos and mass genocide, really, of people because of the influx of migrants or the breakdown of the currency or the breakdown of the system in whole, caused a lot of those problems to happen. We're watching what's really kind of scary is if you look at those countries that I mentioned and several others, I just kind of mentioned a few, most of the time it was one or two or three, it was a few things sometimes that caused it to happen, but not always the same things in every country. And yet what's happening in the United States today, it's all of those things. It's all of those things kind of coming together. And I know that there's still many that want to believe that because America is so big and so powerful and so freedom-loving and so all of the stuff that we want to believe America still is, that this kind of collapse is not going to happen. And maybe you're right. Hopefully you are. But historically speaking, it doesn't look like that's the case. We've got an election coming up, in case anyone forgot. And as much as I just don't really care, I'm not criticizing those of you that still vote. That's fine. The voting can still have some effect on a local level. That's a completely different subject. But regardless of what you think about the election, it is coming, and one way or the other, I think we're going to see some major upset and very likely some violence. I mean, and that's even if there is an election. And there's a lot of suspicion that there may not even be an election come November. But if there is, think about it. Is there really any good outcome that's going to prevent a major upset, regardless of which one might win? Either one, the other side is going to kind of lose it. And so we're just watching things build up and build. It's like this festering boil that's happening. And at some point, it's going to explode. And it looks like that point of explosion is coming pretty soon. I mean, weeks, months away. I don't know that it'll be much further than months away. We have to start looking at our preparations, at our self-sufficiency, at our food production. I really think through the mindset that this may just in fact be the last normal year we have. I know that sounds pretty extreme. I get it. And I'm not saying that I truly believe that this is the last normal year that we have. But I think as far as being prepared for what may happen in the future, that's probably how we should look at things. We need to start turning our focus inward, not just to ourselves, but our family, our loved ones, our tribe, our mag, the people around us that really are going to be there. It's not the people in some far-off city or some far-off state or in the state capital or the U.S. Capitol or anything else, because they don't care anything about you. They don't even know you exist. But the people around you do. And when things start to get like South Africa or Sri Lanka or Haiti or any place like that, the only ones that's really going to potentially be there that can be a helping hand is the people that live right around you. And so now is the time to start making connections, building relationships with people like that around you, so that when it all falls apart, you're not an island on your own, that there's a good chance you might have people around you. Most of us, not everyone, most of us live in places where there's still really good people around us. My neighbors are a good example of that. They're good people. And we've had these conversations before. And we've already agreed that we will do what we can to help each other out when things could start falling apart. I know that's not typical everywhere, but it still exists in a lot of places. And it's probably in your best interest to find those places and get there as fast as you can. Because if you've seen what's been going on in places like New York and St. Louis and Chicago and other places around the country where there's cities and it's falling apart, and it's not just the really big cities either. The medium-sized cities, 50,000 to 200,000 in population, they're seeing rapid crime increases too, and problems in those cities also. So your best interest is probably to do what you can to get out of those cities and get as rural as possible, away from people. It's easier to produce food. It's easier to fortify your positions. It's easier to find people that are of like mind. It's time to start turning our focus inward, folks. It's time to get local. It's time to localize our focus, so that we're trying to figure out what's going on around us, what's the best way to prepare, defend, provide, and build relationships with the people around us, because this stuff that's happening it's pretty extreme. I know that it sounds extreme talking about it, and it sounds sensational, but the fact is it is extreme. The things that are happening are extreme. They're happening on our city streets, and we've got leadership all across the board that's making excuses or trying to encourage it. You know, the president himself wouldn't even apologize for his mistake and ended up making excuses for the, you know, illegal that committed the crime. And now he's proposed a new budget that allocates almost $300 billion to building housing for all the illegals that are coming across the board, across the border. This is absolutely absurd stuff, folks. And it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. And so we need to be preparing. You need to be turning your focus local. And becoming as prepared within yourself, your family, your tribe, your community as you can. Because these things that we've seen in history happen in other countries could very easily start happening here in this nation, and possibly much sooner than you think. It's time to get your houses in order, folks, and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.